Hi, welcome back to Christine's Home Affairs. Let's talk power tools. Years ago, when I was raising my boys on my own, I used to purchase myself a brand new power tool every Father's Day. I figured I'm doing the job of both. Why not give myself something as well? I used to buy cordless drills, sanders, saws, you name it. It was a power tool. I had to have it. These days, I'm spending much more time in my sewing room, and I'm happy to say that I have finally found a couple of power tools for use right in this room. So the two I'm going to show you today are both rechargeable, cordless fabric cutters. This one here is a pair of electric scissors, and this one here is an electric rotary cutter. I actually offered to do a review on these because I've been wanting this for quite some time, so I have been given this. So let's have a look and see what's in both of these boxes. This one is the rotary cutter and this one here are the fabric shears. The only thing I've done so far is removed the power cord and charged up the chargers on one of the products. This one here is the rotary cutter. We're going to have a look at that one in a minute, but what I want to play with first are the fabric scissors. So the things that are identical with these two products is the power cord. So the power cord for both of these is exactly the same, which you'll find in the box here. Then we've got the charging pack here, and we also get two batteries. So with each of these ones, there are two battery packs. I've already gone ahead and charged this one up, and I also know that these bits here are exactly the same as that, so I can use the charger and everything to use the rotary cutter as well, which is really handy because if I choose to have both of these products, then I'm going to have 4 batteries and I'm never going to run out of power. To put the battery in, there's a couple of metal tabs on one side here, and you've got the metal tabs here as well. So you'll line those up, pop that inside until it clicks, plug the power lead in, and then plug this into your power board. Now, the only thing I don't like about any of these products that come into Australia, and this probably happens in the rest of the world as well, is that they come in with Chinese plugs. It's easy enough to get adapters for them, and I have one here that I use whenever they're needed. As much as I'd like to have Australian fittings on my appliances, it's not always possible. So we've got 2 batteries, plug it in, and you can charge it up. When you're charging this up, there's a light on the side here. It'll glow red when it's charging, and when it's ready, the light will glow green. So I've charged these both up. To remove it, all you need to do is press the tabs on the side and the battery comes out easily. So let's have a play with this. In the box, there's also a spare set of cutting blades and a sheath to protect the blade. So on the inside, I'm not sure if you can see, but there's a couple of metal tabs, which is what you have in your normal batteries, and I'll align those together, pop that over the top. Make sure my fingers are away from the cutting blade because you never know whether something's going to be on or not. Okay, and this looks like the trigger here. Okay, so it's only the top blade that actually moves. That's interesting. If I'm going to put my fingers anywhere near the blade, I'll make sure I move my battery pack. I do always try to stay safe, especially when you've got fast moving blades like this. To remove your battery, all you need to do is press those red buttons on the side. I'll disengage that whilst I get some fabric ready. And I've got a couple of strips of quilting cotton here. I've never used one of these before, so let's see how it goes. I'll try the skinnier piece first. Wow, it's like cutting through butter. Let's see if I can cut straight. So I didn't do too bad a job, did I? Considering it's the first time I've ever tried these. So I've got 4 layers of fabric here. And that cuts that really easily. Let's try 8 layers. So that actually cuts 8 layers of fabric really easily as well. That's pretty handy to know. I think these are going to be invaluable in my sewing space. I'm going to remove the battery pack. Make sure there's no charge in it. Okay, now this thread button here, I've noticed that when I was running it, I had it with the little switch back this way. That's to take the cutting blade off. So when you run this, you need to make sure that that is down, and that will stop the cutting blade from coming off. If you ever want to take that off and replace it, slide it up, then you can pull that out. And if you ever need to re-grease it, that's where you're going to do that. So that just slides straight back in on the side. And then you'll lock the blades back in place. When the blade is attached to the device, the top cutter might actually be sitting up a little bit too high for you to put back inside the sheath. So all you need to do is remove it from its head, push the blade down a little bit and insert that back in there, slide it back in and lock it up. And then you can remove that when you need to. So there's really not much to it at all. You've got the main device here, your charger that's separate. I would always keep them separate just in case you accidentally press the start button. And that would just be so that I don't accidentally cut my fingers or my fabric. That'd be devastating. So that's that one. Let's have a look and see the rotary cutter. So I don't need to unpack anything else in here. There's a grinding wheel in here and a spare cutting blade. I've got 2 bigger cutters and I've been using them for probably about 4 years and I still haven't had to change my blade yet. So they do last for quite some time. I'll insert this battery the same way I did with the other tool. Make sure my fingers are away from any area that's going to cut. Let me just take this out. Now this base plate here actually sits below the blade. It's designed for you to run along your cutting mat. So it's a little bit safer than the scissors. Pop that back in. Press go. That's less intimidating than the scissors. That's pretty cool. This is much more quiet than the ones I have as well. So I've got a couple of pieces of Peltex here. Let's see how that cuts through that. I use mine most often for thick upholstery fabric. This is so much quieter than the one I have. I like that. I'm less afraid of this one than I am of the other one because I don't have shears on the end that are going to cut me. So I have 4 layers of upholstery fabric here. Let's see how it goes with that. I really like this tool. It's a pity I can't justify having a third one though. Again, for safety reasons, I will remove the battery pack when it's not in use. There's no charge in it, so I'm not going to cut myself. I thought I'd show you the big one that I've been using for the past few years. You can see the blade on mine is much bigger than this one here, but this one here is designed to go through many more layers of fabric, so there's a clearance in here so you can get quite a good thickness of fabric in underneath. I think I said I can do about 14 layers of quilting cotton, probably about 8 layers of upholstery fabric. There's not so much clearance in between here. I think this is actually a safer tool than the one I've got here. I've always been really afraid of this, and I make sure I keep my left hand well enough out of the way. Sound like a bit of a chicken, don't I? I'm afraid of electricity and sharp things. And this is extremely heavy as well, but it does glide really well over the top of my cutting mat. It has a couple of, looks like brass wheels on the bottom there, which make it just glide. This doesn't have anything underneath it, but it's got a nice smooth base under here. And as you've seen, it actually does glide nicely along my cutting mat. So there's not much to either of these two at all, is there? You've got your main tool, and then you have a battery that's interchangeable between either one of these. The model numbers that you see on here, I did a little bit of research on these machines. So if you're not in Australia, look for the C50 and the C1. So the C1 is for the scissors and the 50 is for the small rotary cutter. I found a couple online that have got a couple of different prefixes in the beginning. The KL you will find in Australia on Pete's website, and I'll pop a link in the description below for both of these tools, and he has lots of others as well. Whilst I'm here, I might as well show you the fan I've got too, which is also from the same company. I think these are going to be a very handy little tool in the sewing room. I'm not keeping this one because I have two already. I don't need to have a smaller one, but I'm definitely excited to have this one as a permanent fixture in my sewing room. So whilst I'm promoting the same company, let me show you this little fan. It's got a magnetic attachment at the bottom here. So this one, let me just get that off. It's got a couple of really strong magnets on that block there, and it just sits on the back of my machine. It's plugged into the mains, and to turn it on, all I've got to do is tap the back. So just tap it once. It's low, medium, high. Oh, that's high. And tap it again and it's off. It provides a nice cool breeze for me on these hot days. I don't necessarily want to keep it on the back of the machine. I do actually, for the most part. I actually have this attached to the pole at the back of my machine. That way it's not too close to me. Cool, isn't it? I hope you've enjoyed checking out these two power tools with me. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't have our own power tools in our little sewing rooms. Now, full disclosure, I am actually receiving this as a gift for doing this review, but I did ask if I could do one because I've been wanting this tool for such a long time. And that little fan that I have in the background as well, I love that. It's been really warm these past few weeks and I don't have air conditioning in here, so having that cool breeze blowing on me whilst I'm sewing is really handy too. So I'll pop a link in the description below where you can purchase these in Australia. If you want to find them overseas, look for that model number C1 and the numbers after it. I'll pop that in the description, and C50 for the rotary cutter. There are some other sizes or other gadgets as well. It's worth having a look on Pete's website just to see what other tools he has. And if you're not in Australia, you can do the research and see if you can find similar model numbers. I hope you've enjoyed this video and I shall catch you next time. Bye for now.